Everybody, how you doing? Episode 202. Welcome back. Super excited to have a young man from Calgary, Calgary, Alberta, one half of our middleweight title fight coming up here at FLA 10. Really excited to have him on. I'm going to cut right to the chase. A young guy, like I said, from Calgary, 3-0, training at a DK United with a really stellar team out there. Really talented, stable athletes, coaches, and seem like just a really strong team that kind of flies under the radar here in this country. But really great people to work with and putting out a ton of talented athletes. So really excited to have this young man as one half of that title fight and excited to see him make the trip across the country and to see what happens here. So without further ado, Mr. John Moore.
Hey.
How are you, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
Not too bad at all, man. Thanks again for joining us. And again, like I said, off air, taking the time to train very hard and for us.
Of course, I can't wait to come back out there. It's always fun to be able to travel when you fight, traveling a little bit farther than an hour drive across Alberta. So.
Well, it kind of like it's got to kind of help. Like to me, I look at that like, and I'm not a professional athlete like you are, but that's kind of gave you a little motivation, being like, listen, I'm a professional athlete. I'm getting flown across the country to compete for this title, and it's a little bit of a like, I'm on my way kind of feeling.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. Awesome. This whole podcast, like everybody, it's the same thing. Everybody who's on here, it's the who, the when, the why. I don't think we had you on the podcast before, did we?
No, this is the first time.
This is the first time. Okay, cool. So how did you get involved in martial arts? Again, like you're a very athletic guy, but was it a different sport for you, or how did you get into this whole thing?
When I was young, I played basketball, I played hockey, and then when I think I was about 13, I started doing more traditional martial arts like Hapkido and like Taekwondo. And I did that for quite a long time, and really just as I was, a young teenager and like maturing. And then I started doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and I was doing that for a while. And I was kind of always like, I'd love to do MMA. And then I had someone be like, do you want to have your first fight next week? And so I had my first fight. Like I had my first like 4 fights without even doing MMA. I was just doing jiu-jitsu. And then I fought someone. I lost a split decision, and I started training with them. And then I was there for a number of years, and then they ended up closing down, and that's how I ended up at Dunamis and Kodokan. And yeah.
Very cool. That's an interesting story. So you lost a decision, and then you went and trained with that person who you lost.
Yeah.
You do hear that sometimes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty common. I've seen quite a few guys who end up winning or losing against someone, and then end up joining that team. And
yeah. So there's so many things that you can take away from those. Those people know you so well. Like there's only like so many people that you're in a cage with. Right. And that experience, that high level of emotion and technique and intensity together. Right. So if you can kind of put that emotion aside and ego aside and learn from that, that's a very cool thing. Like I said, it's a great team. Like Shane, when you guys came out here, super classy group to deal with, and just really understanding. Obviously, we had some issues at FLA 6 that you guys really were great to deal with, and not everybody would have dealt with it that way. So I really appreciate that, and it's been really smooth. So kudos to you guys in that.
Like, you guys are great to work with, and even the little glove issue we had last time was like not really, just this just happened, and. With it being that short notice, there wasn't really anything we could do about it.
Well, it won't happen again. I can guarantee that. Like, but it's lessons you learn, like from our end too, as you go, right? And so yeah, I appreciate you guys doing that. Like us as a promotion, FLA 6 to FLA 10, there'll be a lot of differences. Well, maybe not a lot, but there'll be things that you guys will notice that we've shored up and got a little smoother too. What's the difference on your end, John Moore? What's the difference that the fans on the East Coast or anybody who knows you, what's the difference they're going to see from four events?
Well, when I came up last time, last year I made my pro debut in May. And about 30 seconds into that one, I broke my hand.
Ooh.
And so I spent most of last year just recovering and then building back up to where I was. And then that fight with Matt was something like 3.5 weeks notice for that. And so coming into that one, I'd spent so much time just actually just kind of getting my body back to where I was, because I had to get surgery on my hand, and so I was out for quite a while with that. And then it was just kind of coming back into that one. I wasn't able to, improve as much over the year, just from needing to build my body back up. And then, but this one, I didn't really get too injured fighting Matt, besides some bruises, and and then I'm coming off of a quick win in the end of April. Didn't take any damage, and so I've just been the past almost, I guess, close to a year now. I've been able to improve rather than build back. So I've just been building up, and so I think it'll be an exciting fight for the fans for sure.
That's an interesting way of it, because I don't think a lot of fans really understand that part of the game of like about like how far you can always take 3 steps forward and then the one step back, or
Mm-hmm.
there's the injuries and the things that go on inside of like outside the like a fighter's professional life that can hinder that training that you have to get back. And that's what I admire so much about professional athletes, not the like the mental fortitude to push forward, but like the everyday. You look at professional athletes, they're back in the gym after a loss the next day, and it takes a lot to do that, right? But you gotta want it. So speaking of that, first title shot for you, professional title shot. Man, pretty big opportunity.
Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised when I heard that you guys wanted me to come out and fight for the title. It'll be my first time doing 5 rounds. I think probably first time for Dorian as well. As well, definitely as a pro.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of surreal fighting for a title, and be exciting.
I think it is too. It's a very high level fight for our fans out here, and like I've had like people ask, well, why are these two guys fighting? They're not even neither one of them from the East Coast. This makes no sense. And I'm like, well, it was supposed to be Dorian and Christian, and that fight didn't come together. And John, came out here and put a great performance on with Matt, and he was like, it just made sense, So it was a great fight to line up, and yeah. So I think the fans are in for a real treat, man. Both you guys are super humble. Both very very talented athletes, and boys are going to put it on for the fans for sure. One thing I noticed about you too, that like Matt, like that's what like Matt is like one of my favorite guys out here, because he's such a character. Like he's just a wonderful guy. He doesn't take himself or the sport too serious. He just really loves to compete and challenge himself. And I noticed you were not playing any games. You're like a stone cold killer, man. You're like laser eyes right through him. Like, is that kind of the attitude like for that particular fight, or do you change that fight to fight?
That's usually just kind of my mindset going into it. I'm just, bad intentions, and some people, like I know, like when Matt fights, he's like, hyping himself up, trying to hype the crowd up and stuff. And I guess, it's to each their own, whatever's gonna get you in there. And because obviously, like, everybody's going in and you're feeling all sorts of things going in, and whatever gets you, down the aisle into the cage, you do what you got to do. But I've always just tried to just bring the intensity and
channel it well though. Like you channel it really well. Like they're like just like that's what I mean, like stone cold killer, like just bam. And that takes it's a lot, especially when you got a guy like Matt, like over with the Canada hat doing
screaming and
screaming at you or whatever. He's just a great guy, man, great character. So yeah, it was a great performance, man. You came out here and you definitely leveled up and put it on, and it was a great fight. Thoughts on Dorian? Like research. You've done a lot of research on him. Obviously, like we were talking beforehand, you're kind of supposed to fight him in amateur. It didn't work out. What's the thoughts on the upcoming fight this coming weekend?
Well, he seems like a big guy, big strong guy. Likes to usually likes to grapple, which I really don't mind. A lot of people think I'm like just a kickboxer, but I've actually been grappling way longer than I've been striking. And like I train at a pretty high level kickboxing gym, and there's certainly levels to striking. And a lot of MMA guys just they really don't have very good striking, especially like when you spar with high level kickboxers and Muay Thai fighters. You're like, oh wow, you guys are actually you guys are actually good. So I think there's probably going to be some grappling going on in this fight for sure. I know he always shoots that big double leg right down the middle. Yeah, I think it's hard to tell what's going to happen with this one because he's we're both tough and
Yeah.
I think it'll be exciting.
Congratulations, by the way, on your recent brown belt promotion.
Thank you.
That was awesome. Very cool. Brown belt, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I think, it's funny you say that, man, because I think like I do hear that from people a lot too. Like they're like, oh, John's a kickboxer, and obviously you kickbox very well. Like you're training with Quinn and Jake Lee and all those, like Shane, and the list goes on and on out there. And that's just who I know of, right? But let's segue a little bit there. What's going on out in Alberta? With like just last night, like you saw it with Kieran doing the Road to One Muay Thai. Like what a crowd! What a beautiful.
I was there. It's crazy. Like
awesome.
Full house and crazy. We didn't. We had 3 guys fighting. One of them ended up being a no contest because the ring broke. And his opponent didn't want to continue after the first round. And then Jake's fight, just the guy he fought just made of something undiscovered because he just took so much punishment and just kept coming forward, lost all its 6 front teeth and just kept coming forward, just took him out of the mouthpiece and put the mouthpiece back in. And just wild.
Wow. Pay that man. Holy shit. Wow. Yeah. That's incredible. That's the thing. It's like, that's what you're talking about when you're talking about striking. Like, that's like, you know what I mean? And like that's Kieran and I have spoke quite a bit, and like he like about things about maybe getting what he's doing going on out here and stuff. But we just have the thing is out here, man, our market is so small. Like we're really a small, like all 4 provinces might have I don't know what the official numbers are, like maybe 1.5 million, 2 million. I don't know what it is, like total between all. Like, whereas like out west, like there's so many more people, there's so much more money. People who are looking to sponsor, people who want to buy tickets. Like for us to get 1,000 people, 1,500 people at an event is a really, really hard thing to do, because there's a lot more factors at stake. But one thing that Shane mentioned when he came out east, by the way, shout out to Shane. He's got a great social media game. He looks like a phenomenal chef.
He is.
Food. He mentioned out east, like you guys came out here. That was your first time, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you came out east, he mentioned that how cold it was, and it was like 6 to 10 degrees or something. He's like, man, this is cold. This is crazy. And I'm like, it's so damp, right? Did you really? Is that how you felt?
Yeah, because like 6 degrees here is like loving it. It's beautiful weather. But then before I was coming out there, I was like looking at the weather, like, oh man, this is gonna be great. Like it's so nice. And you show up there and you're like, what is going on? Like this like minus 30 here is like not great, but you'll get over it. But then like minus like plus 6, you're like, what?
Oh yeah, it's the whole thing. Like people say out here, it's in your bones, right?
Yeah,
and it's like that cold, that damp gets in your bones, and you just like it's. Yeah, man, it's an interesting place out here, but I'm glad you had a great time. And this should be a different experience. Like again, you fought in Moncton. This time you're fighting in Sackville, so you're getting the full New Brunswick experience.
Yeah.
But at some point, you'll get to come back and experience Nova Scotia too. But it should be a lot different weather this time around for you. Hopefully, it looks like it's going to be a little bit warmer anyway.
Yeah.
So
a little bit nicer than November.
Let's hope, man. That was a great event, though. Went really well. Shout outs, mentors. Obviously, we talked a little bit about Jake, Shane. Randy, these people that are all around you as a great team. Any shout outs to sponsors, any of these kind of people?
Just everyone I train with, I have it's like so many amazing training partners who, sacrifice their time to, hold pads or just, show up when they don't have fights. And like, I really couldn't ask for a better team, and got a couple sponsors. Got this sweet new sponsor. I just got a Bonfire Shades. They do great sunglasses. Just got me some. Another one, my Physio Dynamic YYC and Chase Mindra. They're really great. Another one, Frontline Paralegal. They've been supporting me for pretty much all my fights. Just everyone around me. I have so many amazing people. My strength conditioning coach, Kenny Dussault. If you're not doing strength conditioning and you're fighting, you're doing something stupid. Like if your coach tells you lifting weights is bad, you need a new coach. I've got an awesome nutritionist, Coach TJ. Cutting weight doesn't have to be hard. Well, it doesn't have to be harder than it's already going to be.
He seems to do a great job.
Amazing.
Yeah, seems to be very on point and very kind of active. He's reached out a few times. Super nice fella. So that's awesome, man. Well, again, I want to take the time to thank you for joining us and keep up the great work, man. Really excited to have you come out here and compete for a middleweight title. And any final words? Anyone for the fans? For anything?
I think this is going to be a fan-friendly fight for sure. And Dorian, I hope you've been preparing your best, and so see you next week.
Love it. There you go. Okay, man. Awesome. Well, you have a great rest of your day. Happy Father's Day to anybody in your family, and we'll talk to you very soon.
All right. Thanks.
Awesome.
See ya.
There you go. There you have it, folks. John Moore. Very excited to have him out here. DK United, part of the team in Calgary, Alberta, fighting for the title next week. Let's move on with our own Nova Scotia version of the MMA Hour. We're going to move right on into the next interview with my good friend Alderic Keith, one half of the main event, one of the OGs of the maritime fight scene here on the East Coast, a guy who's put a hell of a lot of time, blood, sweat, and tears into the movement and into the art here on the East Coast of laying, a lot of these guys, like we couldn't say it again enough with a lot of these guys. Without them, we wouldn't certainly be here doing events. So love to have him on, love to have him representing as one half of the main event. And without further ado, Mr. Alderic Keith.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Awesome. Thanks for joining me, man.
It's been no problem. Thanks for having me. Like I said, it's a pleasure to be on the interview.
Yes,
man. Looking forward to it.
We had you on, I think, early in like the pandemic. I think we spoke a little bit on here.
Yeah. No, I was on here way back then, and actually, I found out afterwards. I thought it was weird. I couldn't see you at the time, so that whole interview, I did it. Couldn't see you at all, but I can see you now. So
you did it blind, man. You did well. Well, this time too, you kind of did it blind too, because for anybody who doesn't know, he was just kind of joining us in the background, and then we're doing this live, so hopefully it would have worked. So we're all good. You can see me, you can hear me, and we're gonna move forward, man. So everybody knows, like I said off air, you're one of these guys who's put a lot of time and fight and blood, sweat, and tears into the sport out here on the East Coast, and it's been 4 years, I think, now since you fought, since the last time, Alder?
Yeah, it'll be a little over 4 years. My last fight was April 2019, so yeah, it's like 4 years and a few months. So definitely long overdue.
That's it. And like we've been speaking for like probably a year or two, a little bit, a year, I guess, about when the right time for you was going to be to make a return. And here it is now, finally, like you said, 4 and just a little over. How are you feeling?
Oh man, I'm pumped. I'm excited to get back in there. Like I said, I'm just looking forward to it. Like you said, we had talked a little in the past and had some fights fall through, and like I'd mentioned in that video that I had done for you guys, I started a new career, so I just took it as a sign. But now that everything's been moving forward, I'm really excited to get in there and just remind the fans of my fighting style and who I am and what I bring to fights. Very
exciting. That's one thing with dealing with you behind the scenes. You know, like sometimes we deal with fighters about like, you know, like everybody wants to get the right fight for their career. But one thing I really like dealing with you is like, you're like, well, no, I don't want that guy because he wants to wrestle me. I want a guy who wants to stand up and strike and make it exciting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I really respect that about you, as because not everybody is willing to say that kind of stuff. And that just shows you what, you know, what you're all about.
Yeah, and like I said, I understand it's MMA, and it's not that I don't ever take any wrestling fights. Like my last 2 fights have been heavy
Yeah.
wrestlers, but like I said, with that 4 year off and coming back, I want a fight that I'm going to be excited for, and a fight that will be exciting for the fans to watch too. So
I
yeah,
agree.
like I said, and I realize, like I said, it's not that I never want wrestlers. It's just for this fight, I felt for me, I would have liked to have a striker, just because, like I mentioned, my last few have been heavy wrestling. So
Yeah. And to be honest, like Alderic, like heavy wrestling's great and stuff, but like it really like for like a comeback fight and like a main event and stuff, like you can like I don't want to sound rude, but sometimes you can really make a snoozer out of a fight, right? Like so, you know, like
yeah,
like a really like a good stand up fight, especially as a main event, is exactly what you want as a fan, you know.
yeah, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I think I kind of enjoyed it, the fact that you said that kind of stuff. So um
Like I said, I'll always be straight up. I don't
yeah,
BS. I tell, like I said, that I find sometimes, and we kind of went through it, trying to find a fight. You get guys that they agree to fights, hoping the other person will say no. Because, like I said, we had a few where it was a go, and then I said yes, and then it goes back to them, and then all of a sudden there's excuses. Or
mhm.
so, like I said, I find it weird. Like a lot of fighters do that. If you're gonna just be straight up about your intentions, and yeah, go from
And
there.
sometimes I kind of wonder, like we speak about that a little bit more. Like sometimes we wonder, like when we send the offer, should it be to just the contract instead of just talking? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
because when you're sending the contract, and it's like here, put your money where your mouth is. You got 24
exactly.
hours to sign the contract or don't. And then
Yeah,
there's none of this talking going back and forth kind of thing. And that's what we're going to really start kind of focusing on more from our promotion. It's going to be like, here, take this or don't.
yeah,
Like, so it's just too much sometimes. Like obviously you have to negotiate, but you know sometimes it becomes a little bit ridiculous. The GF team, again, you're an OG of the whole scene, but especially in Moncton. Um, I see a picture there the other day with yourself and a lot of the guys coming back and training, and that's got to be a pretty cool feeling for you.
yeah. No, it definitely is. Like guys that I started out with back in the Team Sago days, like
Yeah.
years ago. Like I said, me, Fowler, Chris Johnson. We started like 15 years ago, so it was kind of cool getting it back in the atmosphere with them again, to train again with them too. And yeah, like I said, Chris has been regular too at GF team, so
Nice.
getting a lot of the old style sparring rounds in with them. And yeah,
A lot of banging and crashing, eh?
exactly, yeah, no, and that's one of the great things when you when you have a bond with a training partner like that. Like you guys can go a little harder. You know your limits. You know what
Mhm.
each other can take and what's too much. And yeah, like I said, we've definitely had some bangers in the gym where I'm sure people watch, and it's probably almost just as much like watching at the fights. So
Well, it's that's like that comfortability factor of when you have a training partner that you know you can push one another and there's no feelings involved. Like there's no
exactly, like
emotion. Some of those are your best moments. Like for me, like Jason Rorson is like when it comes to him, like he's my coach, one of my coaches, but he's a guy I can really open up with and have like really really good rounds because there's no emotion. It's just like fuck, let's go. And
exactly, and
closest,
that's why I feel too. Like I feel I spar the bet. Like some people, when it goes slow, they're better to do they're better at seeing defensive openings and stuff like that. But with me, I find like regular hard sparring, that's when I do the best.
yeah,
And like you said, when you know that person, you don't have to think like, oh, am I going too hard? Like you
yeah,
know. And
yeah.
whereas in a lot of guys, like I said, I spar with, sometimes when we're going, it's I don't want to connect too much and then think I'm trying to be a bully when really I'm not. I'm just
You're
that's
trying
how
to
yeah.
fight. Like,
Hmm.
You know, like
exactly. But with that being said, the people I've been with, they've all been great. And but like it's still at the back of my head when you're going, you land a hard shot. I let them know, sorry, that hit harder than I was expecting, and which it happens when you're sparring. But
sure. And I will say though, I think like going like again, MMA is just taken off again here in the Maritimes, but hopefully we can get to a point like you see sometimes in jiu-jitsu now a lot where there's like classes and then there's competition rounds, you know, where it's like the people who really want to compete are coming in at a different time and the sport's big enough. So hopefully we can get to a point where it's big enough where again, where like GF team can like, okay, it's like 6 to 10 guys or girls super tight. We're going to go in and we're really going to go hard. And you don't have to worry about that as much, right? But it's,
yeah,
I don't know.
No, it totally makes sense too. Like, and then you get good solid rounds that way. Like,
yeah,
it's straight killers or people that are taking it serious round after round. And like I said, it's nothing again. It's great sparring with new people too, but there's, like you said, when there's that day that you know, okay, like bring your A game. This is this is when the people that are taking it serious are coming into play. So
yeah, well, that's the thing. You have to be careful, right? Like people, like it's, you know, there's a lot of stuff that can go wrong if you're in there.
Well, exactly, and then you get that on top of it. People that are more like, you can get someone new that's fine with going hard, but they may not have the experience, and then sometimes accidents can happen. So
exactly, yeah. I remember there was one guy back in the day who was like that. I want to fight MMA, blah blah blah. And there was a guy in our club who was a really good kickboxer, and we all came into jiu-jitsu one day class, and he was all bloodied up and like doing all the shit. And I was like, "How was that?" He's like, "It was a lot of fun, but he never did it again." And know your role. Sometimes know your role.
Exactly. Yeah.
I saw like a guy like Chad. I got a lot of respect for Chad. I see it a lot with like certain coaches. Like Chad is a guy who obviously has put in a lot of the time himself. Like he's a guy who again fought a lot, super talented guy, one of TJ's main training partners back in the day. And so you got him, you got Tony Doolin in your corner. Like you have a really well-rounded corner, man.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy with it. Like I said, I got Chad, Tony, and then also Lucas as well too. Who's been Spitfire for a while, and he runs Spitfire Muay Thai now. But yeah, it was great to have Tony come back, and just I've got a good connection with him, and he's got so much knowledge for striking. So yeah, I've got Chad for the ground and middle transitioning, and then I've got Lucas and Tony for the stand up for sure. And Lucas has done some judo and stuff like that too. So, and he's had a few amateur fights as well. So it's good to have people that can coach you in all the aspects and kind of not just be one dimensional about it. Like sometimes it's good to have someone that knows the transitions, not just, okay, I got my stand-up coach, I got my ground or wrestling and jiu-jitsu. When someone knows the whole aspect of all the sport and have been there themselves, they can really look for more openings, I find.
Well, you look at like you go do promo videos with Chad. And he's got like 15 different pads on. He's rolling around and he's like doing back, like he's just so mobile in there. You know what I mean? Because he knows exactly where to put the body. He's been there. He's done. But he's really like athletic and can move. And not a lot of coaches that I see are moving around like that.
No, it's great. Like I said, I'm so happy with the training I've been getting at GFT, man, with Chad, and I think he's an amazing addition to my corner. Like I said, it really, I find I'm going to have a complete corner.
Yeah. I watched Lucas fight, but I don't know who he fought. I want to say it was Brad Sullivan or Mike Somerville or something. I can't remember, but he was very good. I noticed him back in the day. I don't know if it was Elite One or who he fought for, but he was good.
Yeah, it was Elite One. Yeah, no, he was a solid fighter for sure. Yeah,
he very much was. You're on the TV, my dude. Your opponent, Roberto Pixley, international main event, was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, it was a good first international fight. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And
yeah, any thoughts on your opponent or?
Like I say, he looks to be more of a striker with that. Likes to throw that overhand right, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm totally game for a stand-up fight and looking forward to it and just really getting display my striking skills. But no, I think that it'll be he looks like a tough guy, and that being said, I'm still going in there looking to finish him and feel confident that that's what will happen.
Yeah, it's again, like you said, he seems like a stand-up fellow, and just fought a month ago or whatever, and
yeah.
Not a lot of footage out on the fella, so
Yeah, no, not a whole lot. He, like I said, he seems to like to throw the right hand and kind of grind against the fence a bit. But I've been training, getting ready for that, and I've had fights with people that have done similar things. So I definitely feel like I'm ready for it.
Speaking of that, like 15 pro fights,
yeah,
like, that's a lot. Like now, the difference between this pro fight versus a lot that we didn't speak about is this pro fight. You're working full time while mixing in with a camp. Like you said,
that was
a new full career that you're working on and blossoming at the same time you're doing this camp. So how's that been going?
Yeah, no, it's been going good. But like I said, it's definitely a different feeling and take on it. Like I said, I was fortunate enough before that I was training full time. I trained some people on the side too for some income. But yeah, I wasn't having to work a regular 8 to 5 job. But
yeah,
with this has been going great. My employer, he's great. He's been really good to work with it. And I actually lucked out. We finished our job site like 2 weeks ago. And the new job site, actually, there was a delay, so it's not ready. So the last week and a half, I've at least been able to relax more. Well, not like be able to recuperate more after training. Don't have to work early in the morning. So get to sleep a little bit later than I would when I would have to go to a work site. But
yeah, because that's the thing. You're probably training until 10. Home.
Exactly. Yeah, I got a late training, and I got to go home, eat, shower, get all ready for like the next day, and then go to bed, wake up pretty early just to be at the site on time. But yeah, like I said, it was a learning curve at the start. Had some days where I was feeling a little drained or a little tired, but made some adjustments, and then it was going great. And then, like I said, it ended up working out even better that I've got a couple week layoff. So
nice. Yeah, that's definitely key. Kudos to your boss. Not too often do you hear that. Like, well, I shouldn't say not too often. Like at the end of the day, support your employees and be good to your employees, because when you got good people like yourself, look after them. So that's really good to hear, man. What can the fans expect from Mr. Keith in exactly 6 days?
Fireworks. I'm coming out, like I said, looking for that finish. I always do. I'm not a point fighter. I'm there to get the win. I'm there to get the finish. I'm there, like I said, violence.
Yeah.
I respect my opponent, but I'm in there to do a job, and that's to get the W and to give the crowd an exciting fight. And they can expect me to come in regular corner fight style, looking for a finish and throwing hands. And like I said, wherever it goes, I'll be ready for it.
Awesome. Okay. Love it. Yeah. Advice, up and coming fighters, people like yourself, like, again, 15 pro fights. There was no amateur scene for guys like you. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe you have any amateur fights, do you?
No. I when I started out, there was no amateur around here, so went straight pro.
So for these amateur fighters coming up, any advice for them to longevity, how they can get to 15 pro fights? I don't know how many main events you've got here in the East Coast. A lot.
Yeah, I've had quite a few. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, how do they get that and still look as handsome as you, buddy?
Just got to make sure you find yourself a good, reputable gym. Like, you get some guys, they start out in their basement and they just want to rush to get a fight. And some places will take advantage of that. Like, just don't rush to get there. Take your time, put the work in. Like, you get what you put in. And don't just settle for the first club. Like I said, sometimes it may work out that the first club you go to is amazing.
Yeah.
But I mean, just because you go to one place, don't think that it has like that it's all the answers. Try to like broaden your trying to think of the word that.
I know what you mean. Like you as the athlete, you have to make sure that everybody at the end of the day, you're the person that people need to be looking after. So surround yourself with people who can really make you stronger in all aspects.
Yeah, just keep your eyes open with it, because like I said, there are a lot of people out there that want to help you, but then there's also some people out there that just see you as a way to benefit themselves too, right? So, but and good training partners, like for longevity, that's where it really comes down to. If you make a good connection with somebody, you mesh well and you train well, keep a good rapport between them, because they're going to help it. Like they're going to help advance you in your career, and they're going to help you get better. Because the better training partners you have, the better you're going to get.
Yeah, it's so true. What do they say in like Jared, who's my coach, always a judo black belt, who's like, be a good uki. It's true, man. It's just like, be a good teammate. Like, let your partner throw you. Like, you gotta take the licks, man.
Exactly, and just be humble. Like, I don't go into the gym always thinking I'm going to be the best. Like, I don't expect to be. You want people there that are better than you, and because when they're better than you, they're going to push you and make you better.
Yep, exactly. 100%. Speaking of which, a guy like this.
Yeah, like, exactly. Alex. Yeah.
Like he's like there's it's frustrating for me because I got guys like Alex and there's another guy in St. John who's a wrestler, and there's a Ligret who he doesn't want to fight anymore. But like there's these really high level wrestlers and guys like Alex who you can't find fights for, man, because they're so fucking good.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be a monster when he fights, for sure. I've been getting a lot of training with him, and he just his knowledge with wrestling, everything. Like, I've been learning a lot and he's been pushing me for 100%. And when he has, like you said, that size and that much knowledge, he's going to be a monster when he does get a chance to fight.
Mm-hmm. We have so much talent out here on the East Coast. We really do. A lot of uncapped talent, like that hasn't really got the opportunity to compete.
Oh, exactly. And then like also talking about young talent like Zach. He's smaller than me, but like he's a great training partner. Like just
animal,
so athletic and has every aspect of it. Like I've
very
really enjoyed getting to train with him.
Yeah, very well rounded.
Yeah, very well rounded and just quick, agile, and just and another great person to train with. There's no egos involved. Like
yeah, man, you guys have got a growing gym there. You got Mr. Gauguin getting back in it, and
trying to push him to get back in there for sure.
Good, man. He's a hilarious guy. I get the biggest kick out of him, man.
Definitely.
Soprano.
He has cinder blocks for hands too. So
does he?
Oh yeah, heavy hitter for sure.
He's a comic, man. I really love to see him get on the card too at some point. So it's nice to see people getting back into it, right? That's what it's about, man. Like that's what this whole thing is about. Like, everybody kind of working together and motivating one another. So it's awesome.
100%. That's why I'm so glad. Like I said, Chris Johnson's been training a lot too. Who knows? Maybe try to get the fire up back in him. Maybe he'll fight again too. But he's another force to be reckoned with and a great training partner. I've got so many. Just if I didn't, just because I'm not mentioning, if I don't mention a name, it doesn't mean like GF Team and Spitfire. They've been full of great training partners. Like even Lucas at Spitfire, he's sparred with me, come in and trained with me as well. Remy from there.
Remy 410.
Really, yeah. What was that?
Remy 410.
I'm bad with names. I'm trying to think. I can't remember.
You Jericho back in the day?
No, I don't believe so. No. He did have an amateur fight. Maybe I don't believe he fought Jericho though.
Did you do like kickboxing before? No.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. Was it? Maybe it was against Jericho.
It could be. I could be totally wrong. I don't know, but I know the name. I thought it was him anyway. But I know there is a Remy from New Brunswick who's good. So it may or may not be him.
Now you got me wondering. I'm like, look at my Facebook, see what. I
can't remember. So anybody who's tuning in here, obviously, Alderic Keith, one half of Fight League Atlantic 10 main event next weekend, Saturday, Sackville, New Brunswick. Tickets, we got about 5 tables left. at fightleagueatlantic.com. You can head on over to fightleagueatlantic.com and grab one of those. And then, the rest of the tickets are available there too. Was it right?
No, it was Remy Gould.
Remy Gould. Okay, different. We don't know that Remy. Okay, but I'm sure he's good too.
yeah. Like I said, I've been getting some rounds in with him. So yeah, and like I said, I've been really fortunate to have some good sparring partners this camp. So, and like I said, people coming back into it that may have been off for a little bit too. So it's nice seeing the old faces come back in.
Yeah, it is. It's important, man. Sponsors, people outside the sport, mentors, any of these people you want to give shout outs to leading into next weekend?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like people don't realize how big sponsors are. Like it's not just you show up and you fight. Like there's so much preparation that goes into it. And with that preparation is expenses. Yeah. So I definitely want to thank the sponsors for this fight. So my sponsor of this fight is Bernie Rogers Trucking, Moncton Honda, Dental Health Center, Head Rush Moncton, Patton Construction, Stephen Williams at Takeoff Vacations, the Naturology Center, Studio 21 Tattoos, Faded Views Barbershop, Pro Signs, and then also shout out to Justin Maillet. He commented while we were talking. He actually did me up a custom walkout song for this fight. He's at Feel Good Music, so big thanks to him as well. And awesome. Then again, of course, Tony Doolin, as I've done most of my career with him, and he's been a huge influence on my fighting, definitely, and my striking. So big thanks to him. Also, Chad at GF Team, and Lucas Manuel too at Spitfire Muay Thai.
That's how you be a professional, folks. Organized, ready, wrote down.
Yeah, I'm always nervous I'm going to forget it some way. So I'm like, I'm going to write this down beforehand, make sure.
Well done, man. That's exactly how, at the end of the day, that right there, though, Alderic shows that you care. And that that's why sponsorships, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it's those little things that go a long way. Like, you're organized, you respect these people who are, sponsoring you. Like, I love seeing that, man. Kudos to you.
Like I said, it means so much, and it's so easy for people to say, like, "Oh man, it means a lot to me," but like it really does mean a lot to me, and I really do appreciate. Like a lot of those sponsors have been with, like, they're not just first-time sponsors; they're repeat sponsors, and I appreciate it so much. I've got some first-time sponsors as well, and I still appreciate from them just as much as well too. But like I said, just
well, it goes a long way. Times are tough. Like it's with our events, man. Like money's tight for people, so the fact that people are taking their time to come out here and compete, like watch people compete, and what we're doing here, like I'm the same way. I really appreciate and respect everybody who kind of supports what we do, man. So great attitudes. Any final words for fans? Anybody out there?
Just make sure you get your tickets. Like I said, biggest show in FLA history. Right now, I believe there's 11 fights, and I'm going in making it an exciting fight, and I'm sure that there's some other great fighters on this card that you definitely don't want to miss. Get those tickets, and next week it's going down.
It definitely is. There you go, Jericho McPhee, another one of the fantastic athletes competing next week.
Yeah, there's Jericho, exactly. Like I said, this card's stacked. You got so many talented, established fighters that are fighting on it, and then even the amateurs, you got some up and comers. They're hungry, they want it. Like I've been to a lot of your shows, and man, like the quality of the fights are always great. So, and always got a lot of usually some crazy knockouts or submissions. So I don't see this fight being, or this fight card being any different. I know I definitely I'm looking to get that highlight up there. So that's what I'm pushing for. I don't just want the W. I want a highlight win. So
you got to get on those highlight reels.
Exactly. I've been off for 4 years, so I got to get some new material to start putting up.
Nice. Okay. Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Alderic, for headlining the show, coming back, fighting for us at Fight League Atlantic. Guys like yourself, Jericho, Christian, the list goes on and on about competing out here and laying the pathway for what we're doing here. So lots of love to you and your family, man. Happy Father's Day today.
Thank you. Thanks.
Awesome. Very good.
Like I said, I'm pumped, and I appreciate, like I said, you guys giving me the opportunity to make it back on a card and headline your event. And like I said, I'm pumped and super excited for next Saturday. So definitely going to be an event people don't want to miss.
I agree. Get those tickets, folks. FightLeagueAtlantic.com. All right, there you have it. Alderic, thank you so much, man, for joining us. Have a great rest of the night.
You as well. See ya.
There you go, folks. Alderic Keith and John Moore. Great episode today with the MMA Maritime Hour. Sorry, Ariel. We're going to start stealing your title. But yeah, great episode. Happy Father's Day. Lots of love to everybody out there. If you can be anything, be kind. We will catch you tomorrow. Peace.